Political Moldovan businesses and links with the newly President of Ukraine. 1036 views, 1 votes, average 2 out of 5. Loading. Print this post. Petro Poroshenko, the new President of Ukraine, was born in Volgograd, Odessa region, a small town just a few kilometers from Romania, mainly inhabited by Bessarabian Bulgarians. The press wrote that, due to his past, among Romanians, the new head of the neighboring country speaks fluent Romanian, demonstrating his skills at a recent election campaign. However, Petro Poroshenko is close to Moldova not only linguistic. In the past, he had officially more business here. His traces are still preserved at Trade House Gemini in Chisinau or at the factory Bucuria. Some companies, managed by Ukrainian citizens, who seem to have links to newly Ukrainian president, have their headquarters inside the store Gemini or factory Bucuria. Now, press is presenting Petro Poroshenko as a true savior of Ukraine, the man who can stop the war and lead Ukraine into the EU, a recognized billionaire with an estimated wealth of $1.6 billion in 2013. Poroshenko is known primarily as the owner of the chocolate factory Roshin, being called by the press Chocolate King. In fact, he has businesses in several areas, such as arms production, shipbuilding or the media. The owner of Channel 5, a highly watched TV channel in Ukraine. Poroshenko based his businesses in the early 90s, after the collapse of the USSR, being considered an ace of privatization. Taulef about Poroshenko in 2005, ZDG wrote about the current president of Ukraine and his relations with Moldova. Then, Poroshenko was removed as head of security from Ukraine, and in his name were initiated several criminal cases. Then, press from the neighbor stated was saying that the Prosecutor General of Ukraine addressed with a special request to the Prosecutor General's office in Chisinau, requesting information about Poroshenko's businesses on the territory of Moldova. Businesses unfolding not only in Chisinau, but also in the region Transnistria. Kiev edition of the newspaper Komsomolskaya Pravda wrote, back then, that Alexei, father of Petro Poroshenko, a great communist leader, was, on the recommendation of the party, at the head of an experimental factory from Bender, for many years. Got to know the specific of the area and subsequently seized several factories in the area. In Chisinau, name of Petro Poroshenko was linked, most often, to the House of Commerce Gemini and candy factory Bucuria. Ilya Rotaru, former store manager at Gemini, argues that Poroshenko had links with the shopping center and that, possibly have them today. Vasily Taulef, former manager of the factory Bucuria, the longest-running prime minister in the history of Moldova, remembers that the big brother of the current president of Ukraine, Nikolai, who died suspiciously in 1997, while on a holiday in Turkey, was one of the leaders of a privatization fund for Moldova. Through that fund, they had a share of stock in Bucuria, where I worked as director. After his brother died, who was a really good boy, his actions were taken by Petro, the current president. A period of time, not too long. He managed shares at Bucuria and then sold them. That's all. Now, for sure, he has no shares there, did not have since the time I left the director post to the function of premier. And he was coming here. We were talking, at meetings, gatherings. I was talking to him in Russian. Perhaps he was knowing something? Romanian language. No, I cannot confirm or deny. I was also talking to him in English. At least he knows English better than me, says Vasily Taulef. Funds involved in dozens of businesses. Former Prime Minister, although says that he does not remember the name of privatization fund, or investment, as it was called officially, he referred, most likely, to Bucuria Invest, which privatized, in the late 90s. Very suspect. About 60% of the shares of Candy Factory. Poroshenko family also owned another investment fund, Bucuria Privat Invest, through which participated in the privatization of other factories in Moldova. Through the latter, the family of current president developed in Moldova veritable businesses. According to a document of the National Commission of Estate Properties Values of the Republic of Moldova, of 27 December 2002, on the results of controls of Bucuria Privat Invest, fund had direct links with dozens of factories from Moldova, HC Scheme, HC Cement, HC Glass, factory in Chisinau, HC Canary Gladini, HC Mold Carton, HC Canary Anini Inoi, HC Sugar Factory from Gindisty, HC Gainusa, HC Butter Factory from Taraklaya, HC CPC Chisinau, HC HC Furniture Factory from Balti, HC Gemini or HC Bucuria. The shares of the representatives of investment fund came to the attention of law enforcement, but the results are not known. According to the State Registration Chamber, SRC, Bucuria Invest is not removed from the traders register till this day. Founded in 1993, it is headquartered on Stefan Selmer 136, in the premises of the trade house Gemini, and is led by Elisha Curie Nicholas, a Ukrainian who lived in Moldova and in 2004, according to a decree of President Voronin, dropped the citizenship of Moldova. A few days ago, the media wrote that Poroshenko still holds shares in HC Gemini through the company Geombold, which holds 47.86% of shares. According to SRC, the company, founded in November 2007, is managed by Alexei Moskalenko, another Ukrainian citizen, but the founder is an offshore from Cyprus, Tamarix Limited, with a registered capital of over 52 million lei. In 2005, some shareholders of HC Gemini were claiming that Poroshenko holds actions namely through an offshore. We tried to talk to Alexandru Opreia, the current administrator of HC Gemini, but he did not respond to ZDG calls. Ukrainians lead footsteps of Poroshenko. According to some documents from the website Rotaru.md, Petro Poroshenko, in 1999, held, through another offshore, a Grupa Dimpex Cyprus Limited from Cyprus, shares at glass factory from Chisinau. Currently, it is owned by the state, but, in the past, was, for a short period of time, taken by this company, which had at the back Poroshenko. There are people who argue that the current president of Ukraine was forced by the state authorities, especially by the former president, Vladimir Voronin, to return the company, being threatened with criminal cases. Memberships of Cyprus offshore to current president is demonstrated by the fact that the same offshore holds 25% at TV station Channel 5, which Poroshenko recognizes he owns. Other documents posted on the same website shows that Poroshenko held shares at HC Bucuria through another offshore, Oakley Group Limited, from Ireland. According to the chamber, this offshore founded in 1998, in Moldova, enterprise with foreign capital Oakley Malimpex Limited, and Limited Conditor Invest, in 1997. Here also appears as administrator a Ukrainian citizen, Alexander Dovisenko. Surprise continues. According to documents from SRC, the headquarters of both companies is on 162 Kolumna Street, right in premises of the factory Bucuria. Moreover, Alexander Dovisenko appears in several documents as a person who would conduct businesses with funds of Poroshenko family. ZDG tried to discuss the subject with Roman Trechin, director of factory Bucuria, but, from the waiting room, after we were asked for details about the subject that we would like to discuss, we were asked the number of phone, with the promise that we will be contacted by the end of the edition. This has not happened. Meanwhile, in Moldova there is, basically, a branch of the factory Roshin, owned by Petro Poroshenko. This is called Limited Russian Mall and is founded and managed by a certain Vladimir Ianchu, involved in other two companies that have businesses with the